A couple drops off their daughter, saying she will be in their care and hoping to see them soon. It was 15 years ago when he was 5 years old. Lee Hyun, his stepsister who is 2 years older than him, came to his house. A young Taesung is informed that Hoon will be his new sister living with them from now on and asks how he's going to greet her, so Taesung annoyingly makes a face at her, infuriating Hoon. That day was his first time meeting his sister. His parents owed a lot to her parents, which is why they decided to take care of his sister. While her parents wanted to continue the expansion of their booming business, they went to the United States, and so it was sudden that Lee Hae-in started living with him. In elementary school, they used to fight each other. In middle school, they tried to stay away from each other as much as possible. In high school, Taesung and Haeun continue fighting each other, and presently, Haeun annoyingly asks why she has to help him if he's going to clean up his room. Taesung insists that she should help if she has a conscience. Recalling how his mother used to give Haeun his money since she was a kid, they ate the rice his mother prepared together, be it clothing, food, cell phones, or any other necessities. Everything came from this house. Taesung annoyingly tells Hyun to stop talking and get started because this is his parents' house. Hyun mutters that he should also do some cleaning then, but Taesung tells her to just do her job. He remarks that Lee Hae-in was very thankful for everything his parents did for her. Presently, she asks if he's not looking for a part-time job anymore, but Taesung says he doesn't know what she's talking about, and that he's going to play a little bit since he's tired. He informs her that mom will be home late today, so she should at least try to make a decent kimchi soup tonight for dinner. Haeun asks if he wants to die, but Taesung grins and says he'll be leaving now since he has an appointment. Hyun slowly asks where he's going, so he announces that he's going out drinking with some friends and tells her to take good care of his house, but she smacks him on his head. Later in a restaurant, Taesung's friend Kim Jung-jae asks if he's seriously saying he can't even do a favor for a friend, and suggests that he should bring his sister just once so that they can have a drink together. Yoonbom tells Jung-jae to stop bothering her and asks if he really thinks Taesung would want to bring his sister. Kang Yunwoo suggests that he could bring his sister as well, since there's nothing wrong with it. As Taesung takes a swig, he remarks that he didn't tell them that Lee Hyun wasn't his real sister, but acknowledges that he and Hyun don't really have a normal relationship. It's the same with Bom. Bom cheerily says Taesung's sister won't come, even if it takes 100 years, as Taesung inwardly says. Yoonbom isn't someone he has known for a long time. They met while playing, somehow, they became close, and now she's their friend. Youngjae tells Taesung he really envies them since he lives with a sister like her who takes good care of him with her angelic face and slender body. Youngjae drunkenly tells Taesung to be honest with him and asks if he would have preferred if Haeun wasn't his sister, but Bom tells him to stop saying such things. Yunwoo mutters that Jungjae says that because he doesn't have a younger or older sister, in fact, if he did, he wouldn't think the same way. Taesung acknowledges that just sharing space with someone you don't get along with can be very annoying. Yunwoo asks Taesung if he and Hyun argue and fight like brothers, so Taesung admits he could say that, inwardly remarking that they argue and have fights. Yunwoo then starts talking about how Taesung and Hyun see each other, and later as Taesung is walking back home, he remarks that Lee Hyun is so pretty that every time he drinks with Jungjae, he usually makes a fuss. But he remembers other students in high school being jealous of Taesung since they thought he was Hyun's boyfriend. Presently, he wonders what would have happened if it weren't for the sibling relationship they have. When Taesung returns home, Hyun asks what he's staring at and if there's something on her face, so Taesung annoyingly says he really wants to go to hell when he sees her face hearing, which she angrily questions if he wants to die. A few days later, Taesung's parents are going to their grandpa's house. His mother tells them to eat well, and his father tells him to not bother his sister since he's not a kid anymore. When they leave, Taesung wearily says he needs to go out for a drink. Hyun asks if he's really going and suggests that they watch a movie since it's not like he has other things to do. Taesung annoyingly asks what nonsense she's spouting now and says she can watch it herself since he's going to play some video games for a while. Hyun says it's a horror movie and she's too scared to watch it alone, so he just has to sit quietly. Taesung wearily decides to let her win this time and sits down on the couch above her. Hyun asks why he's sitting there, so he tells her to not say anything because he just likes to be on the couch. However, if she doesn't like where he's sitting, he can leave so that she can watch it on her own. However, she says it's fine and tells him to just sit there. A while later, as they're watching the movie, an embarrassing scene comes on, so Taesung jokingly reminds Hyun that she's the one who picked this movie for them to watch. However, he surprisingly notices that Hyun isn't looking his way and looks embarrassed. He suddenly remembers what Yunwoo said about how one can tell if a woman sees them as a man or not. He jokingly scoots over behind Haeun, but shockingly realizes she still isn't reacting, seeing which he questions what the hell this means. Taesung hurriedly gets up, saying this movie isn't good and that he's going to leave since he needs to do a quest in his game. Later, as Taesung is lying on the bed, he nervously remarks that he can't control his excitement from before and wonders what he should do since this has never happened before. He asks himself if he should just pretend it was all a joke, but Haeun silently enters his room. She slowly asks if he's asleep and says she's scared from watching the movie and can't sleep alone. She sees that he seems to be asleep and lies down beside him on the bed. Taesung wonders what's with her since she's usually not like this, and inwardly questions if he should tell her to get up and go to her room since this is uncomfortable. The next morning, Haeun annoyingly tells Taesung to get up and questions if he's still sleeping even though it's 6 in the evening right now. Her friend Han Yura smilingly tells her to not yell at him so much and to let him sleep in a little more. Haeun mutters that this idiot needs to fix his bad sleeping habits, but Taesung says she's being shameless and reminds her that it's because of her. Haeun asks what she did, but Taesung blushingly gets up and says it's nothing. Haeun hurriedly asks where he's going, but he swears he has an appointment and has to get going now since he's going to be late. Yura slowly asks if something's wrong with Taesung since he left in a hurry, but Haeun doesn't say anything and looks away. Meanwhile, Bom receives a call from Taesung who asks if they can meet. When Bom asks if something's up, Taesung asks if friends need a reason to drink together. Later in a restaurant, he remarks that he'd like to forget about it, but he wonders if he fell in love with her and reminds himself that they're actual siblings. However, he admits they aren't blood-related and asks himself if he's weird. He mutters that he was nervous yesterday and pretended to be asleep, but he starts to imagine things with Haeun and stops himself. As Bom arrives, he remarks that she's someone he can talk to freely without any concerns. Bom asks what he's wearing since one has to dress nicely when they go out, but Taesung says she should have got here sooner since he thought he was going to die alone. He thinks about how Jungjae and Yunwoo would have just said a bunch of crap without realizing how serious the situation is, but Bom is different since she always listens to his problems, and is a woman just like Haeun. Bom smilingly asks why he suddenly wanted to see her, so Taesung hesitantly says he'll tell her after drinking. After a couple of drinks, as they're laughingly talking about video games, Taesung wonders when he should mention it since he's still drinking. Bom sets down her glass and asks if he's worried about something. She sits next to him and tells him to scoot over for a second. She rests her head on his shoulders, muttering that she's had too much to drink and feels a little tired now. Taesung asks if she's drunk since she started acting like this out of nowhere, so Bom asks if he remembers how she was being followed by a stalker when she used to work part-time. The stalker would wait until she got off work, but one day, Taesung offered to go with her. Bom worryingly asked if he'll be all right, so he told her to not worry because he still had time. For a while, he walked her home, and because of how confident and strong he looked, she felt relieved. Presently, she says she may be able to help him with whatever his problem is, and might be able to help him so he shouldn't worry, and should just tell her what's troubling him. Taesung nervously stays silent and reveals that Haeun isn't really his sister. Surprised, Bom asks if they're related, but he says it's not like that either. Since she is neither his sister nor his cousin, she's kind of like a stranger. As Bom reacts with surprise, Taesung reveals that they've been living together for a long time. He was 5 years old when she moved in with them. He adds that last night, they slept in the same bed, but he doesn't know why he's feeling so weird since his heart started to race. He says he doesn't know if that makes him weird, but he doesn't know what to do next time, which is why he called her here. He asks her to keep it a secret from the others because he trusts her, but Bom suddenly gets up saying they should leave because she's tired. Taesung asks if she wants to leave already, so she mutters that she'll pay the bill since she's drank all the alcohol. Later, Taesung surprisingly sees that the bus going to Bom's house is out of service, and she can't take a cab in her current state by herself either. Bom looks at a motel near them and says she wants to rest because her legs hurt. Taesung asks if she wants to rest for a while in the park before they leave, but Bom asks why they're going to rest in the park when they can get a room at the motel. Rest for a little bit and then go home. She blushingly asks if he can pay for the room since she paid for the alcohol. The receptionist tells Taesung and Bom their room is number 501, as he wonders if he's really going to be resting at a motel with Bom. When they enter their room, Bom tells him to lie down, but he hurriedly says it's okay since he can just sit on the floor. Bom asks him to hold her hand, so he nervously complies, but he suddenly walks out of the room. As he's walking home, he remarks that that was going to be a big problem. He would regret it if he did something like that with Bom, who's like a sister to him. However, thanks to Bom's advice, he's realized what he should do about this situation. At home, he asks his parents where Haeyeon is and walks into her room. She hurriedly gets up and asks if he doesn't know how to knock since she was watching a movie, but Taesung flips on the lights and asks if she remembers what she did when she came to his room last night.